Redstone lapis lazuli. Yes, hello, hi, good morning, yes. It is indeed I, for yet another episode of this fantastic game, or of the show, of everything, and here, check this out. I have advanced on my construction of the SkyTrain tower. So this is the first station. It took a long time to make the station. I'm not gonna lie. So you can see it goes around the whole swamp, the train station, and this particular area allows you to choose which direction you want, left or right. And then if you go on either track, this also allows you if you want to keep going straight or if you want to stop at the station. Of course, it looks opposite on the other side. What? You will stop and whatever. Now, if you want to keep going, if you want to, if you don't want to do what it says, you can hit the thing and it'll switch, and the track will switch. So this will keep you going, and in the other direction, it'll make you stop. And then from here, it tells you to go left or right. There's not a whole lot of room. I should probably make more room, but oh well. This is the way I made it. So I spent a lot of time making this thing here. And it's funny because I'm building upon the knowledge. I'm building upon the knowledge I gained from another world. From another world. The only thing I could bring from that world to this world is knowledge. What's inside me. I could bring nothing else. I could bring no materials, no tools, no structures, no farms, no nothing. The only thing I could bring is what's in my head. So yeah, so it's pretty cool, right? Yes, so it's in the, it's up on that hill like I wanted it to be. We're overlooking my farm here, and there's elevators for quick travel up and down. Quick and easy travel up and down. This starts off in my original cave base. It's so funny. Original cave base still serves a purpose. Yeah. And it hops up here. And let's see, we can test it out. Let's go. No, let's go the other way. Let's go this way. La la. And yeah, that's how this works. I also straightened out this line. Like, it just didn't seem right that it had that stupid curve for no reason that did nothing. Except make it more difficult to, like, shoot the target when you wanted to stop or go or whatever. So yeah, now we're heading north. And if you keep going north, there's an ocean. But, like, it's quite a ways away. And I don't know if a rail line would be the best way to do it. Maybe a rail line, because it's, it's nice to travel in the overworld. I like traveling in the overworld. It's not so much fun traveling in the nether. You don't get to see anything, and it's all pretty ugly. Yeah. There's my gold farm. And this is straddling the border between the swamp and everything else, not the swamp. And you can see over here, this is the section where I ooh, you can't see, but that's where I took a lot of wood and I had to replant it. But it takes time for the trees to grow. I have to be there for the trees to grow. But I need more wood, so I'll be visiting this place again. Yay! Here's one of the big mountains I talked about that it gets to. Now I'm not sure what to do with this mountain. Do I stop here? Do I like make a base? I don't know. And then over there, if you go far enough that direction, there are like 2 or 3 big ass mountains, like real mountains. These are tiny mountains. Over there are like giant mountains. So I might make a trip, a special line to go out that way, just to see the giant mountains. La la la. It's pretty nice, right? Right? What a nice ride, just to be up in the sky, not worry about monsters, not worry about danger, not worry about anything. Just kind of chill out, relax, and look at everything coming by. It's dark. It's pretty dark. I should have did this in the daytime. Here's another place I want to stop eventually. Now over there, out in that direction are the Great Plains. It's like a giant plain area. And I've already made a station over there. Check me out. Look how great I am. It's not totally finished, but it's starting. It's starting. It's the beginning. Ta-da! In fact, why don't we go check it out? See if I can do this. No, I missed. No, it's gone. It's gone, dude. That minecart's gone. Alright, come back to me. Okay. So, like, right? I haven't done the switch here yet. I have to build that thing over there. That whole construction up there, I need to reconstruct over here. Except this time I'm hanging like way high off the ground. I'm not like on top of a mountain. I'm over nothing. So, anyways, I'll work on that. It'll be cool. So yeah, but once I've finished, then it will turn and it will go off in this direction. Ooh, into the Great Plains. Unfortunately, it's dark. It's nighttime, and I don't have anything built here yet. But I can already see a base starting here. Look at that neat little water cave underneath. It's so cool. So yeah, this base isn't finished yet. Still working on it. Still working. Whoa, hey, buddy. He's got there was a zombie with a kid on top. Ooh, and there's a creeper in there too. Yeah, see, it's probably not a good idea to be out here in the daytime or at night. If a creeper blows up, all my work is going to be gone. This is all glass. It's going to break instantly. But yeah. Can put a few torches down. Make a tiny perimeter. Yeah, it's a villager with a baby zombie villager on his back. Ah ha ha. I would get 2 villagers for 1 if I could do it. Actually no, because if I cure the villager, then the zombie villager on his back would kill him. Could he ride him? Could he still be riding him if he was a regular villager? I kind of want to cure him now. Huh. Alright. Well, let's see. Get away, get away. It's gonna be daytime soon, buddy. You better go home. I just wanted to hang out to get a nice view of everything, right? Get a nice sunrise. Ow. See, like, how could you reach me, dude? I'm like a meter away. Okay. I have this handy dandy spyglass that lets me see far, far away. So over there, it looks like there's a nether portal. I want to, like, a broken nether portal. I can go fix that nether portal and then, like, see where it takes me. And that might be an easy way to travel from my place to over here. I just build a nether portal. And then what else is over there? I think that's lava over there because it's lit up. Yeah, and none of these zombies won't die because they have they're wearing a helmet, so their helmet protects their head from the sunshine. So, ow, uh-oh, ah. All right, sorry guys, I had to kill you all. All right. Oh, the sunshine, the sunrise. So yeah, this is what I've been working on. What a nice area, right? So you can kind of see why I want to like make a base here, because like look at this beautiful sunrise. How neat, how nice. And this is a good spot because I can look over all of the plains. It's kind of the high point, right next to the mountains. Well, the mountains. Those are okay mountains. Let's go back. So yeah, this is like pretty easy stuff I'm working on. Like earlier in the week, I had to travel to an ancient city, and that's super stressful. I can't do anything there. Like I have to like focus entirely upon the game when I ooh, that's a big crevice. When I go to the ancient cities, because those are super dangerous, even in netherite gear. Plus, there's no reason to fight the warden because you get nothing for it. Like, there's no reason. Anyways, so I want to talk a little bit about stuff. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a Sunday morning. What do we got here? Dude, I don't even know where to start. Like, we already know what's been going on with the police. The video got released of Tyre Nichols getting lynched by the police. And you know, you can tell by watching the video, if you watch the video, you can tell the police are practiced at doing this. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to cover it up. Like, it's been done 1,000 times before. It's nothing new for them. Like, it's built into the police culture. So it's not that the beat. I mean, yeah, for sure it was because they beat him to death. But this other thing that you have to notice is that the police were totally cool about it. They were getting ready to make up their stories together. They knew they were wearing body cams. They didn't care. They thought they were fine. They thought they would be okay because they'd been okay every other time before. Every other time before when they beat someone to death, they got away with it with nothing. So that's the thing. It's not just that Tyre Nichols got murdered by the police. It's that the police have murdered a lot of other people before. We just never saw it. We just never figured it out. So I understand that there's like a cognitive dissonance, right? I live in Salem, Oregon, where it's like supremely, like, it's super white here. There's a lot of white people in Oregon. And that's historical. That's due to historical racism. It was built into the Oregon Constitution that black people could not come into our state. They were not allowed to be in the state of Oregon for a long time. Yeah, dude, just because the North won the Civil War doesn't mean everything was hunky-dory afterwards. Like, the West was still pretty racist. Like, extremely racist. I mean, Oregon is like, was supposed to be a white utopia, quote, quote, for a bunch of like white supremacists. That's why they had that in the state constitution that black people couldn't be here. So when we hear in Salem or in the West, we hear about police brutality, like, and we see images of black people getting beat. It's like we see it, but it's so alien to the way that people normally react with the police, normally interact with the police. So for them, it's hard to, when you say, well, we have to abolish the police, and then they say, well, why would I want to abolish the police? When I interact with the police and I see the police, they do nothing but good things for me. But then you have to understand, how often do they interact with the police? Like, never. They never interact with the police. Maybe if they get a speeding ticket, maybe, like, otherwise all they see of police interactions are what they read in the newspaper, where it's all sanitized. Did you read the police report about what happened right after they lynched Tyre Nichols? The police report is totally sanitized. You would have no clue that they lynched a man. You would have no clue. It just sounds like surgical, like routine. And the guy probably deserved it, is what it sounds like, if you read the police report. So police lie. The whole thing is built up on cover-up and lies. So, like, it's like, but if you ask, but that's over there, right? I don't know what's happening here. I'm sure there's something going on here in Salem too. Like, I know that there's connections between the police department and the Proud Boys, because in 2020, the Proud Boys were warned by the police that a sweep was coming so that they could avoid the arrests, and the arrests could be focused on Antifa, quote, quote. So I think the disconnect, and then I started going on Facebook, and like, and all of the Facebook comments were about like, oh no, there's going to be riots in Portland now. Oh no, riots in Portland. Oh, but because that's specific racist people trying to take focus off the fact that the government agents murdered citizens and put the focus on the reaction of the citizens. They don't want to look at government agents murdering citizens because in many cases they agree with the white supremacy murder of people. They agree with it. One guy was pretty explicit about it. He said, "I'm okay with it because I know they won't do it to me." So, yeah, there are a lot of racist people in the United States who don't care if citizens get murdered by the state as long as it's certain kinds of citizens that don't look like them, which means they're explicitly, no, that's implicit. That's implicitly white supremacists. They're okay with a white supremacist government because the white supremacist government serves them. Those are bad people, dude. They tried to build, those kind of people tried to overthrow the government and establish their own country. Those are the same people that don't mind if black Americans get murdered by government officials, are the same people who want to overthrow the United States because it's turning into a multiracial democracy, and they'd rather have their Confederacy white supremacy. It's a major issue in the United States that we have not addressed. And it's because of that we are still having all these other problems that look like they're independent, but they're not. They're all connected to our original sin of the United States' original sin of slavery and genocide, which has never been addressed. When we tried to fix it during the first Civil War and after the Civil War, instead of fixing it, the Confederates staged a coup and assassinated Lincoln. And then the vice president who took over was named Andrew Johnson, who was very, very sympathetic to the South. And he stopped the Reconstruction of the South. He preserved the Southern institution of white supremacy. He did not allow justice to come into the South. So that means all those people who were former slaves never got to live in a just society. They were funneled directly into the next iteration of the Confederacy called Jim Crow. So Jim Crow, after the Civil War, right? So now you had a bunch of free black men, but they had absolutely nothing. And if they tried to vote, if they tried to exercise their new freedoms, the white people around them would terrorize them. They would kill them. They would beat them up, lynch them. Or they would force them to vote for the candidate that the white people wanted, or they would put on a poll tax that says you can't vote unless you pay a tax. And since you're a black man with absolutely nothing, because you're newly freed slaves, you couldn't vote. So that meant that the white supremacists basically took over government in the South, and that was Jim Crow. And then sometimes they would make you take these stupid literacy tests, which were tests designed specific, totally ambiguous answers to the test questions. In other words, whether or not you passed or failed depended on the person who graded the test. If the person grading the test liked you, they would say, "Oh, your answers are good." But if the person grading your test didn't like you, it didn't matter what answers you gave to the test. No matter what you said, it was wrong and you couldn't vote. Yeah, this is a terrible system, right? This was used for like 100 years after the Civil War. It went on for 100 years. It was so bad that Hitler had a bunch of fucking Nazis come to the United States just to see how those Confederates did it. They wanted to learn how the Americans did Jim Crow, so then the Nazis could go and replicate it back in Nazi Germany with the Jews. No joke, dude. I'm not joking. The Nazis learned how to do genocide from the Americans. That's why I love hating on Nazis. I love hating on Nazis. Because if I hate on Nazis, I hate on our own history that has not yet been fixed. The more I hate on Nazis, the more I hate on us for not fixing our history. For not taking care of our historical sin. So I can hate on Nazis all day and know that I'm also hating on myself. I'm passing judgment on myself. And that forces me then to take action, to speak out and say, well, what do we got to do in order to fix this historical sin? Well, one way is to get rid of the forces that are murdering black Americans continually without anything. Nothing happens to them. Maybe we'll catch a few of them and then like some tokens to throw into a fire, but then that doesn't stop it. Nothing changes. Like, how long has it been since George Floyd? How long has it been since Rodney King? What has changed? The police have gotten more money and they kill more people. That's the only thing that's changed. And every time you try to address it, white supremacists will come up and say, hey, this government works for me. So then that kind of tells you what the problem is. It's the white supremacists. And there's one party fully on board with the white supremacists, and that's the Republican Party. So the Republican Party is not only the party of white supremacy, but it also is a traitorous party. It's the party that will work with the enemies of the United States in order to overthrow the Constitution. Let me give you an example. Oh no. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Is this going to work? Okay. Charles McGonigal, who was the special agent in charge of counterintelligence in the FBI's New York field office, is under arrest over his ties to Oleg Deripaska, a Russian oligarch. Okay, so you're like, well, who the fuck is Deripaska? Who's Deripaska? What the fuck does any of this mean? Okay, let me give you a primer, a real quick primer. Okay. So this is Paul Manafort. This guy is Paul Manafort. He got, oh God, come on, please. There we go. Let's see how much I can do this. Yeah, ever since I switched to Windows 11, and I'm having a lot of problems with OBS and moving shit around. Like right now, it's fucked up. Like I'm looking at a blue circle. Anyways, Paul Manafort here is the guy who was the campaign manager for Donald Trump in 2016. While he made a deal, he and a bunch of other people went into Trump Towers to make a deal with Russia to overthrow the 2016 election. The way they did that was the Republican Party used their party to get a bunch of voter information to create a detailed map of the United States, of like voting idea, of like where the voters are going in the United States. They put it in a hard drive. Paul Manafort met with a guy that worked for Oleg Deripaska, and then gave him this hard drive full of voter information to go give to the Russians so they could attack the United States during the 2016 elections. He got convicted of lying about this. They couldn't catch the guy because he lied about it, but they caught him lying about it, so they arrested him and then charged him and convicted him. Then later on, Donald Trump gave him a pardon because they're on the same team, right? Of course. Here's that guy, Deripaska. Here's Deripaska. That's the dude that you need to hate. This guy is the Russian oligarch who serves Vladimir Putin. He is the boss of Paul Manafort, and he's the one who took that voting data and gave it to Putin to attack the United States. So this Russian oligarch is also the boss of this special agent dude, Charles McGonigal. Because Charles McGonigal is an FBI agent who worked in the FBI before Donald Trump got elected. He fed information and leaked information in service to the Russian oligarch, not for the United States, but in service to Russia and Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is also in service to Russia, right? His campaign manager had direct ties to Russia. The special agent in charge of counterintelligence in the FBI's New York field office has been arrested over ties to the Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska. Deripaska was Paul Manafort's paymaster. Manafort was Trump's first campaign chief. Remember, Paul Manafort had the Republican Party change its platform to drop sanctions against Russia. This was an actual collusion, despite Trump and Jim Jordan's efforts to deny reality. In 2019, Senator Mitch McConnell helped clear the way for Oleg Deripaska's company, Rusal, to invest $200 million in Kentucky in 2019. Right? Remember, the Republicans helped stop the investigation into Russia, and Russia worked with the Republicans to get the Republicans into power. They through direct investment like this, by directly giving money to Mitch McConnell's state so he can get elected again in Kentucky, by sending their campaign manager to run the Trump campaign and then to ferry information from the U.S. over to Russia, and from corrupting FBI agents into helping them. Former agent in charge of New York FBI's counterintelligence division, charged with violating U.S. sanctions on Russia. Former U.S. Senator Harry Reid letter to former FBI Director James Comey. You possess explosive information about close ties between Donald Trump and the Russian government. This was Harry Reid, dated October 30th, 2016. Harry Reid was the Senate Majority Leader for the Democrats, or the leader for Democrats. And he's telling James, he knew that Russia had infiltrated the United States and had gotten Trump into power, that there were ties between Trump and Russia. He knew that the FBI knew, and that goddamn James Comey was sitting on top of it and not letting people know. So this is a letter in October 30th, before Trump got elected, before Trump became president, before the whole Russia scandal came out. This is Harry Reid, who knew about it because he gets like classified briefings, and he's sitting here publicly telling the FBI director, fucking tell the American people what's going on. Tell them that Russia is infiltrating the Republican Party. Tell them, God damn it. And he didn't do it. James Comey didn't do it. James Comey instead sided with the Russians and helped Trump come to power. Look at what Harry Reid said on October 30th. Dear Director Comey, your actions in recent months have demonstrated a disturbing double standard for the treatment of sensitive information, with what appears to be a clear intent to aid one political party over another. I am writing to inform you that my office has determined that these actions may violate the Hatch Act, which bars FBI officials from using their official authority to influence an election. Through your partisan actions, you may have broken the law. The double standard established by your actions is clear. In my communications with you and other top officials in the national security community, it has become clear that you possess explosive information about close ties and coordination between Donald Trump, his top advisors, and the Russian government, a foreign interest openly hostile to the United States, which Trump praises at every opportunity. The public has every right to know this information. I wrote to you months ago calling for this information to be released to the public. There is no danger to American interests from releasing it, and yet you continue to resist calls to inform the public of this critical information. By contrast, as soon as you came into possession of the slightest innuendo related to Secretary Clinton, you rushed to publicize it in the most negative light possible. Moreover, in tarring Secretary Clinton with thin innuendo, you overruled long-standing tradition and the explicit guidance of your own department. You rushed to take this step 11 days before a presidential election, despite the fact that, for all you know, the information you possess could be entirely duplicative of the information you already examined, with which exonerated Secretary Clinton. As you know, a memo authorized by Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates on March 10th, 2016, which makes clear that all Justice Department employees, including you, are subject to the Hatch Act. The memo defines the political activity prohibited under the Hatch Act as activity directed towards the success or failure of a political party, candidate for partisan political office, or partisan political group. The clear double standard established by your actions strongly suggests that your highly selective approach to publicizing information, along with your timing, was intended for the success or failure of a partisan candidate or political group. That is correct. Harry Reid knew that the Russians were working with Trump. Harry Reid knew that the Russians wanted Donald Trump to be president. Harry Reid knew that James Comey was not going after Donald Trump, protecting Donald Trump, and only going after Hillary Clinton. He knew this, and yet he let it happen. So James Comey is a bit of a traitor. But now we know it wasn't just James Comey. There were other FBI agents. It was James Comey, and it was this Charles McGonigal guy, because now he's under arrest for working with Russian oligarchs to thwart the investigations into Donald Trump and into his ties with Russia. So let's read the story. Ex-CIA officer compares Charles McGonigal to Russian double agent. So in other words, Charles McGonigal was pretending to be an FBI agent loyal to the United States, when in actuality, he was on the take. He was on the dole. He was taking Russian mob money to turn over information about the United States to Russia. He's a double agent. He works for Russia while pretending to be loyal to the United States. Where'd it go? Man, this thing was so screwed. Come on in, FranView, work with me. Okay. A former CIA officer is comparing the alleged criminal activities of Charles McGonigal to a Russian double agent who worked for the FBI for 25 years. McGonigal was arrested over the weekend and faces several charges after the Department of Justice discovered that he allegedly aided Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska in evading U.S. sanctions. McGonigal, a former FBI agent and court interpreter, Sergei Shestakov also allegedly accepted payments from Deripaska after agreeing to investigate one of the oligarch's rivals. McGonigal and Shestakov were charged with money laundering, conspiring to violate and evade U.S. sanctions, violating the International Emergency Economy Powers Act, and conspiring to commit money laundering, according to the DOJ. So the FBI's got a bunch of pro-Russian assholes in it who are working with Russia and working with the Republican Party against the interests of the United States. We know this is what's happening. During his career, McGonigal supervised and participated in investigations of Russian oligarchs, including Deripaska, and was part of an investigation into former President Donald Trump's ties to Russia after Russians interfered in the 2016 elections. So in other words, he was a mole. He was a Russian mole inside the investigation into Donald Trump. And he made sure that the investigation into Donald Trump and Deripaska never went anywhere because he was on Team Russia against the United States. I mean, I don't know how much clearer I can make this. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there who are totally like, yeah, go Russia, go Trump, against the United States, and they live in the United States. Like, I don't ever see them in person because it would be a problem. But that's the thing, right? It's not just Republicans. You have to watch out for other people. There are people who pretend to be on the left, but they're not really because they're pro-Russia. I'll give you an example of a person who pretends to be on the left but is actually a fascist. Medea Benjamin. Oops, shit. Medea Benjamin. She's a part of a group called Code Pink. And she says she's a peace activist, but actually she's pro-Russia. She's pro-genocide. She wants the genocide of the Ukrainian people. And you can tell because of what she says. So right here, she already said she's pro-Trump because she says Trump makes a heck of a lot of more sense than Biden. So in other words, remember when Trump tried to extort Zelensky and isolate him so he would surrender to Russia? She thinks that Ukraine should surrender to a fascist nation and be genocided away. And it makes more sense to her for Ukraine to be genocided away than it is to resist genocide. She's no peace activist, she's a fascist. But she tries to trick you by putting labels on her, saying, oh, look, I'm on the left. I want peace. I want peace. I'm Code Pink. Look at me. I'm pro-woman. No, dude, you're a fascist. Medea Benjamin is a fascist. She's pro-Russia fascist. And she wants Ukraine to die. Look at her. She tells you right here. She tells you, look, I would prefer Trump's plan of Ukraine surrendering to Russia so it can be genocided to Biden's plan of helping the Ukrainians resist fascism. Pretty clear. She's a fucking Nazi. Oh, but yeah, this is back to McGonigal. Remember I told you McGonigal is a dirty FBI agent on Team Russia. So back in October 31st, 2016, right before Donald Trump got elected, this is McGonigal's investigation. Right. For much of that summer, the FBI pursued a widening investigation into a Russian role in the American presidential campaign. Agents scrutinized advisors close to Donald Trump, looked for financial connections with Russian financial figures, searched for those investigations in hacking computers of Democrats, and even chased a lead, which they ultimately came to doubt about the possible secret channel of email communications. But the thing is that all of this is real. All of this is true. It's all good. All of this has actually happened. But for some inexplicable reason, the law enforcement officials say that none of the investigations have found any conclusive or direct link between Mr. Trump and the Russian government. That's so weird. Because later on we would find out that, oh fuck yeah, there were tons of connections. There are shit tons of connections. Robert Mueller found all those connections, and then the Republican Senate committee found the same connections in their report. So it's Republicans and Robert Mueller both said, fuck yeah, there are tons of connections. But why would the FBI, right before the election, come out and say, oh, nothing there. Oh, look who's on the connection, who was on board with that, who was doing that investigation. It was McGonigal. You mean to tell me that the Russian oligarch stooge went and did an investigation into the Russian oligarch and said, hey guys, I can't find anything. I guess this Russian oligarch is A-OK. Oh, maybe the Russian oligarch stooge couldn't find any connections because he's with the oligarch and he wanted to throw everybody off the trail, which he did. How many people pull out that paper saying, look, no, the FBI says no ties between Trump and Russia? They always pull that shit out, and it's bullshit because it's what the Russian oligarch wants you to think. This guy did the investigation, and he's on Team Oligarch, so of course he covered it up. Holy shit, guys. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Here, let me pull up Maria Butina. Because this is important too. Oh, I can't find it. I spelled it wrong. All right. I did a show on this. So this here is a Russian spy named Maria Butina. She infiltrated the Republican organization, the whole organization. She did so through sex. She pretended to like a bunch of high-end Republican officials and got into the NRA. So she had sex, and then one of her boyfriends was this guy right here, Paul Erickson. Paul Erickson thought that Marina Butina really liked him. So Paul Erickson did a lot of favors for Maria Butina. Unbeknownst to Paul Erickson, breaking the law for Russians is a bad idea, and the FBI found out, and he's in prison right now. But the thing about this poor guy is that he thought they were boyfriend girlfriend, but she has lots of boyfriends. She has tons of boyfriends, lots of high-end, high-level Republican official boyfriends, and they all do favors for her, which is why she was able to become a high-end donor to the NRA, National Rifle Association. And so where did she get all this money from, though? That's weird. How would this Russian spy, who had lots and lots of Republican boyfriends, how would she get all this money? Oh, that's right. The Russian government gives her all this money. How does the Russian government get all this money? That's right. Mob money. They fucking steal it from regular Russian people. Torture, murder, theft, crime, whatever you want to do. They fucking take this illegal stolen blood money into the Russian government, and then they give it to her. So she's got blood money all over her hands, right? She's covered in blood. Maria Butina's covered in the blood of innocents. And she's like, hey, Republican officials, why don't you take this blood money from the Russian government so you can defeat the Democrats who are loyal to the United States? And all the Republicans, all of her boyfriends, all of her Republican boyfriends took this Russian blood money, and they too became covered in Russian blood and blood, right? They're all covered in blood. Now Republicans are all covered in blood. They have blood money, and they use this blood money. They spread it out to defeat the Democrats. Great job, right? But now that they've taken this blood money, now they are tied to the Russian oligarch. They can't get away from it. They can't get away from it. Have you ever played the game World of Warcraft? So in the beginning of World of Warcraft, the orcs are just chilling people. They're just chill people. They're just doing their thing. But then this bad guy comes along named Gul'dan and says, hey, orcs, like, I can make you super powerful. All you have to do is drink this blood of demons, and you'll become real strong. That's all you got to do. So Gul'dan corrupted some of the orcs, not all of them. Gul'dan corrupted some of the orcs into drinking this blood money, or this blood, which made them, they made them super strong. But then their skin changed color. It was brown, and then it changed color to green. and they were now slaves to the demon. The demons could control them. Sure, they are powerful, but they were enslaved to the demon. It's the same thing, dude. It's the same thing here. You got the Republicans took the Russian blood money and drank it. And it made them real powerful, and they were able to defeat the Democrats, but now they're beholden to the Russian mob, which is why you see all of them resist all the investigations into the Russian mob, because they too are part of the Russian mob. Now, that sucks, right? How did Russia send in a spy to totally infiltrate the Republican Party and then give them blood money, which enslave them all to Russia? Like, what's that gonna, like, how, that's horrible, right? But what if they did that to the Democrats? What if they did that to the Democrats? They tried, not them, not the same ones, but the Chinese tried to do the same thing. The difference is that when the Chinese tried to do it to Eric Swalwell turned her in. Eric Swalwell, this Chinese spy, she didn't have a whole bunch of Democratic boyfriends. She didn't get deep into the Democrats to give out Chinese money to enslave the Democrats to China. She didn't get to do it because Eric Swalwell turned her ass in. Instead of having sex with her like all the Republicans did, he turned her in. Now, this is from December of 2020. The FBI has now reaffirmed that Rep. Eric Swalwell was never suspected of wrongdoing in this matter. No concerns were raised on either side of the aisle. Neither Republicans nor Democrats said any issue at all. None whatsoever. Zero issue. Swalwell himself has also indicated to Politico and CNN that the leaks to Axios may have been sanctioned by the Trump administration. So in other words, Donald Trump is the one who leaked the FBI report about this Chinese honeypot, because Eric Swalwell never did anything wrong. There was never anything bad about it. But Donald Trump needs the Democrats to look bad, so he uses insinuation. He has no proof. He will never have proof because it never happened. But all he wants is the insinuation. So he insinuates. He just insinuates. But that shows you a stark difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. That when the Republicans met a Russian spy, they all had sex with her and took her money and became Russian stooges. When Eric Swalwell met a Chinese spy, he did not have sex with her, did not take her money, did not become a Chinese stooge. Clear indication. But Republicans will always bring up the Chinese thing to insinuate stuff. Because they have no proof, all you can do is insinuate. That same ploy is what Donald Trump wanted Zelensky to do when he said, just announce investigations. They don't actually have to be investigations, just announce it. Because Republicans will do the same thing there that they did to Eric Swalwell. They don't need anything. They just want the insinuation. That's why they're fascists. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in power. fucking Nazis, dude. That's why they're enemies, absolute enemies of every American, because all they care about is power. Not humanity, not each other, only power. Let's see, what else we got? Oh yeah, let's go back to Durham, right? So remember, so anyways, so we found out that there are all these Russian connections, and Rod Rosenstein was forced to call a special counsel, Robert Mueller, to investigate. But he told Robert Mueller, you can't indict the president. You can't do it. You can't charge the president with anything. So Robert Mueller's like, all right, you're making me do this criminal investigation, but you're saying that I can't charge the president. And a bunch of other stuff. He tied the hands of Robert Mueller, so Robert Mueller couldn't really do anything. He couldn't really explicitly outright say that Donald Trump was connected to the Russian government. He can only suggest it, which he did a lot. But since he didn't outright say it, Republicans ignored it. And then Donald Trump said, well, I can't have this report implicating me in crimes. I need to get rid of it. So Donald Trump commissioned the John Durham report. John Durham. So the point of John Durham report, he was to investigate the people who investigated the Russians. So to protect the right of the Russians and the people that the Russian government associated with, to protect the oligarchs and the oligarch stooges, Donald Trump got John Durham to investigate the people who were investigating the oligarchs. His purpose was to make the Mueller report go away by saying it was a bad report. But after 2-3 years, he couldn't prove anything. He got nothing. He couldn't do nothing. But then they found out that John Durham did find evidence of a crime, just not, and the crime was connecting Donald Trump to the Russians, but John Durham chose not to follow it. Why? Because John Durham isn't interested in justice. He's interested in protecting Donald Trump. That's what it was. That's why there was the Durham report. The Durham report wasn't to find out what actually happened. It was to protect Donald Trump. And so John Durham found evidence that implicated Donald Trump, but to protect Donald Trump, Durham did not follow up on it. So just like the FBI didn't follow up on any of the 4,500 leads that they got for Brett Kavanaugh. Because the FBI's got a bunch of fucking pro-Trump assholes inside of it who would happily betray the United States in service to fascism. Mr. Barr and Mr. Durham decided that the tip was too serious and credible to ignore. But rather than assign it to another prosecutor, Mr. Barr had Mr. Durham investigate the matter himself, giving him criminal prosecution powers for the first time, even though the possible wrongdoing by Mr. Trump did not fall squarely within Mr. Durham's assignment to scrutinize the origins of the Russia inquiry, the people said. Mr. Durham never filed charges, and it remains unclear what level of an investigation it was, what steps he took, what he learned, and whether anyone at the White House ever found out. The extraordinary fact that Mr. Durham opened a criminal investigation that included scrutinizing Mr. Trump has remained secret. But in October 2019, a garbled echo became public. The Times reported that Mr. Durham's administrative review of Russia's inquiry had evolved to include a criminal investigation, while saying it was not clear what the suspected crime was. Citing their own sources, many other news outlets confirmed the development. In other words, Mr. Durham made up some bullshit that he heard from a Russian oligarch and went chasing it. he went chasing the theory of a Russian oligarch and spent in order to disprove the Russia investigation. But it never worked out because chasing the leads of a Russian oligarch are meant to lead to nowhere. That was the whole point. It was not supposed to do anything. It was to confuse you. So this tells me that the FBI is really, really corrupt with a lot of pro-Russians inside of it. Mr. Durham used Russian intelligence memos. Russian intelligence, not U.S. intelligence, but he used Russian intelligence. Suspected by other U.S. officials of containing disinformation. So, John Durham used fucking Russian intelligence to gain access to emails of an aide to George Soros, the financier and philanthropist who is a favorite target of the American right. And Russian state media. So George Soros is an enemy of the Nazis, of the Russian fascists. And so Mr. Durham said, "Oh, this American citizen, George Soros, is an enemy of the Russians. So I'm going to use this Russian information to open an investigation into George Soros to help out my Russian buddies." Durham is a corrupt guy, dudes. Durham and a bunch of FBI's on Team Russia. I mean, they helped Trump get into office to help Team Russia. The whole thing is set up for Team Russia. I told you guys months ago, years ago. Oh, I didn't finish reading it. Mr. Durham used grand jury powers to keep pursuing the emails even after a judge twice rejected his request for access to them. The emails yielded no evidence that Mr. Durham has cited in any case he pursued. In other words, Mr. Durham just was fishing for dirt. He wasn't doing an investigation. He was fishing for dirt on behalf of the Russians. He was a Russian tool. What am I going to tell you? I mean, I'm telling you, like, how else can I make it any more clear to you? You can choose to support Republicans, but then you understand that you're a traitor and that you're on Team Russia. Go ahead, support Republicans, fucking fascists. You know exactly what you're doing now because you're on Team Russia if you support the Republicans. And we know Republicans are white supremacists who want to overthrow the United States. I mean, you see the cascade here? What's this? Oh, shit. So, the other day, this is a video from Elizabeth Pruden on Facebook. The other day, like last week, some guy who had a pistol was walking around the Walmart parking lot and tried to carjack someone with his pistol. And then when it failed, he ran away to the nearby Planet Fitness and walked in with his gun. And then screaming panic happened, right? Then he walked out and he walked across the street, holding a pistol this whole time. People called the police. The police arrived, and now they're over, like, by Burger King, I think. And they had a shootout in the parking lot. And the guy died. But check it out. Here, listen, look for yourself.
Get down. Put your head down, Bob. Put your head down. Walk.
Yeah, that white car's getting the hell out of there. How many gunshots were there? Holy shit! Look what they're on Commercial and Kubler. Commercial and Kubler, dudes, right fucking there. So, okay, what's happened? People have been hit. Let's see. Okay, so people have been hit and injured. Companion officers on scene. He pointed the weapon. So the guy who had the gun pointed the weapons at chariots. Chariots is our bus system. Is the Salem bus system. Cherry, you get it? Cherry City. Okay. So he pulled a weapon at the bus and fired. The suspect is down. On the people on the bus have been hit. So he shot people on the fucking bus. This guy. Original call: armed robbery and attempted carjacking at Walmart on Commercial Street Southeast. Suspect is walking northbound on Commercial Street Southeast toward Planet Fitness and is going into Planet Fitness. Now he's going back to Walmart. He tried robbing victims at Planet Fitness. They are locking down Walmart. He is armed. So in situations like that, I can see, sure, you kind of need a police, some kind of force to meet that kind of force. Sure, right? But that's like the only thing the police should be doing. They shouldn't be writing traffic tickets. They shouldn't be doing domestic violence checks. They shouldn't be doing wellness checks. They shouldn't be like checking up on homeless people. They shouldn't be checking up on mentally ill people. There should be entirely separate like groups, entities, organizations that do those kinds of things. Not the police, because the police are there with guns to kill people or to stop like someone with a gun from hurting other people. They're not there to do all the other social services. We need to like seriously reimagine what the point of the police is. And just like how the FBI have been corrupted to help Russia, I think the police in the United States have been corrupted to help white supremacists. We need to fire every fucking police department in the entire country and rebuild them from the bottom up. To create several separate departments. One department to keep the peace. One department for checking on homeless people. One department for mentally ill. One department for domestic violence. One department for doing investigations after the fact that everything's done. The police, as a group of force, need to be severely compartmentalized. Way more than what they are right now. Right now, they're the all-purpose cleaner. And that's awful. We need to compartmentalize them into a tiny little space where they can't move without us saying so. Because abolish the police and rebuild them into a productive force rather than into a force that enforces white supremacy. Let's see. Here's some more corruption. DEA Mexico chief quietly ousted over ties to drug lawyers. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration quietly ousted its former top official in Mexico last year over improper contact with lawyers for narco-traffickers. An embarrassing end to a brief tenure marked by deteriorating cooperation between the countries and a record flow of cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl across the border. In other words, this corrupt DEA official got into power into Mexico and made a deal with the narco-traffickers in Mexico to transfer drugs from Mexico back into the USA. What comes in the other direction? Guns. Guns come from the United States down into Mexico to arm the narco-traffickers against the Mexican government. It's the same thing that they want to do to the United States. The white supremacists in the United States wanted an armed insurrection against the American government. They're doing the same thing. That's why they want all these guns. Let's see. Palmieri approved the use of drug-fighting funds for inappropriate purposes and sought to be reimbursed to pay for his own birthday party. So there's corruption, dude. There's corruption that we need to root out. Like we got FBI officials on Team Russia. Like, you gotta understand, who is Team Russia? Team Russia turned an apartment building into a fucking ruins. People used to live there, and the Russians destroyed it. the Russians are in a campaign of genocide to kill the Ukrainians. And they're being supported by Americans because there's Americans who are in Team Russia and want to do the same thing to the United States. So Donald Trump put out a tweet. So Donald Trump was saying that, you understand, Donald Trump was on Team Russia, right? Whatever he's doing for the benefit of Putin. So earlier this week, Germany finally relented and allowed the transfer of Leopard tanks to Ukraine, and all the other allied countries are also sending tanks to Ukraine. This will help Ukraine repel the Russian invasion. Who does not want the Russian invasion to be repelled? This guy, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is on Team Russia. So he's saying, oh no, if you're going to send the tanks, then the Russians are going to nuke us. He is echoing the threat of Russia. He is basically a mouthpiece for Putin. Putin is saying, yeah, don't attack us, don't do this or we'll send nukes, and which is a bunch of bullshit. But then Donald Trump is echoing it. So he's echoing it. He wants Ukraine to just give up. He wants Ukraine to give up and to let Russia occupy most of its, like a big part of its country, and genocide the Ukrainians. He's okay with that. Why? Because Donald Trump is a traitor. He's a traitor. And I told you, what do we have to do with traitors? By US code 18.2381, the penalty for treason is death. Why would the penalty for treason be death? Because it's understood that traitors are a corrosive element to society, and if you allow them to exist, they will continue to try to overthrow your government, just like Donald Trump is doing right now. Because the Department of Justice has not brought Donald Trump to justice, he is going to continue to poison our country. He will continue. He will never, ever stop. He will never stop. That's why the penalty for treason is death, because without death, the traitor will never stop betraying the country. Never, ever. Look at him. Look at him. He's corrupted the FBI in order to help him get elected. Like, it's terrible. And he's trying to genocide the Ukrainians. And he's a mouthpiece for Putin. That's why you can't let Donald Trump just walk around freely. Because he's literally an agent of Russia. I wouldn't say an agent. He's an asset, a Russian asset. He's the mouthpiece of Putin. So yeah, I'm real glad that the Western nations are sending tanks. But the problem, and I said before, is that if your logistics, you're fucked. You're fucked. Ukrainian armor repair vehicle specialist. He's poor guy, dude. This poor dude, he's got to deal with Leopards, Abrams, Challengers, AMX-10s, T-72s, T-64s, T-80s, T-62, Bradley M2s, Marauders, CV-90s, BMP-2s, all these different mishmash of vehicles that he's got to maintain and keep running. And they're like from different countries with different standards and different parts, and like nothing fucking matches. Like, holy shit, the poor guy. I feel bad for him. That's why I was really hoping that Germany would just like pump out the tanks. But then I found out that Germany doesn't really have a tank industry anymore. So it's hard for them to pump them out. But still, this poor dude. All right, this is in context of the debt ceiling, right? Republicans like ran up this huge bill, and now the bill has come in, and they're saying, Republicans saying, well, we don't want to pay the bill anymore. So that's what the problem is. Almost 30% of the national debt is due to Donald Trump. A huge chunk of our debt is from the Republicans. Under Biden, the deficit fell $1.4 trillion. So it's not that that the Democrats are having a hard time paying down the debt. It's that the Republicans have ran up the debt really, really high, and now they're trying to default. They want to they don't want to pay the bill. Why? How is it that the Republicans ran up such a huge debt? Like, I don't understand. I understand. I know how they did it. Oh shit. Hold on. Damn it. Back. Hold on. They changed this to be more like a web browser, which is cool, but I have to like get into it. Okay. Go up one. Search. Yeah, here, tax. So you think, well, how is it that the bill is so high? How did Donald Trump do it? Well, the taxes back in the 1950s, they used to be like this. If you're a billionaire, you paid a lot of money in taxes. But if you're in middle class, you paid, like a fair share in your taxes. But when Donald Trump took power in 2016 and 2018, the Republicans used their trifecta power to change the tax code and make billionaires pay the lowest taxes in the entire country. And then so, yeah, you might, like, so even if you, like, yeah, basically, if you're middle class, you pay lower taxes than poor people. And you pay higher taxes than billionaires. So this is why the debt ceiling came up. So remember, during negotiations, most of the debt came from Republicans, and now they don't want to pay the bill. When you have talks with your Republican neighbors, don't let them get away. Yeah, there's Donald Trump, traitor. So the tax cuts cost us $2.3 trillion under Trump, and the George W. Bush tax cuts cost us another $1.5 trillion. So the deficit is largely due to the Republicans because they try to cut taxes for the rich. I mean, they're trying to defund the IRS. They're literally enemies of the United States. So what's the difference between Trump and Putin? Well, Putin wanted to weaken NATO, but Trump wanted to weaken NATO. Putin wanted Ukraine's military weakened, and Trump withheld military aid for 55 days. Putin wanted U.S. intelligence. Trump gave U.S. intelligence. Putin wanted U.S. sanctions on Russia lifted. Trump lifted U.S. sanctions off of Russia. Putin wanted U.S. to withdraw from U.S. arms treaty, nuclear arms treaty. Trump withdrew U.S. from nuclear arms treaty. Once you realize that his allegiance is to Putin, not America, everything he does makes sense. What's this? Oh, energy consumption. So far, I don't see solar and wind really doing it. We need, look how much we're still relying on oil and coal and gas. There's no way, guys. We need to do a moonshot for the molten salt thorium reactor so we can cut all these things out and stop climate change. Like, climate change is gonna wreck us. I don't know why people don't understand it. I guess it's because the white supremacists are trying to murder them. So it's kind of hard to pay attention to how climate change is going to kill us when white supremacists are doing it like way quicker. Investigating Donald Trump. This is the article from 2016. October 31st, 2016. Investigating Donald Trump, the Russian stooge McGonigal found no clear links to Russia because McGonigal works for Russian oligarch Deripaska. Remember, he was working on this thing, and he made sure the FBI didn't find anything because he worked for Deripaska. Oh, yep. Prosecutors say Charles McGonigal, who was chief of counterintelligence in the city, worked secretly for Oleg Deripaska to investigate a Russian rival. Billionaires asleep. Underpaid and overworked staff are the ones who drag them up to the top of the mountain. He wakes up in the morning at the top of the mountain and he says, "Oh guys, look how far I have climbed. I'm not even tired." Yeah, because these guys did all the work. Billionaires do nothing. Elno Husk is a fraud. Elno Husk is also on Team Russia. Be careful of that guy. That guy's a traitor. The formula. This is a great formula as to why there is violence, why the United States has the highest rate of gun violence in the developed world. Why is it the United States has the highest rate of gun violence in the world? Well, it's hate, impulsivity, domestic abuse, unsupervised youth, safety fears, suicidal ideation, dementia, right? Plus, easy access to a firearm. This is the key. That's the thing. That is the catalyst. That is the catalyst, the enzyme that allows us to have the highest rate of death in the world. It's the easy access to firearms. Every other country in the fucking world has all these same things. It has hate, it has impulsivity, it has domestic abuse, it has unsupervised youth, it has safety fears, it has suicide ideation, it has dementia. The only difference is that the United States allows easy access to firearms, which allows for death. Why do we have easy access to firearms? White supremacists. Debt ceiling raises since 1960. Democrats, it has been raised 29 times under Democratic presidents, and it has been raised 49 times under Republican presidents. But not for some reason, but Republicans don't want to raise the debt ceiling limit because they're Nazis, they're fascists, they're not negotiating in good faith. Republicans want to overthrow the United States of America. I mean, they have insurrectionists in Congress right now. Look at all the mass shootings we've had just in January. Just in January, dudes. We haven't even gotten out of the month, and we have all these mass shootings all over the fucking country. I haven't even heard of most of these. There's so many of them. Yeah. So this is that Code Pink chick. That's the pro-Russian person. Russia's trying to murder Ukraine, and she's over there saying, "Oh, Ukraine should stop fighting and negotiate for peace." Motherfucker, he's trying to kill her. There's no. So this is what the pacifists say. Ukraine should negotiate for a ceasefire, but what they actually mean is they should let Russia prepare for a new offensive. Ukraine should seek compromise to achieve peace, but what they actually mean is let Russia continue genocide on occupied territories. When they say Ukraine should be neutral, what they actually mean is I don't recognize Ukraine's right to protect its democracy. When pacifists say stop funding the war, what they really mean is I don't recognize take away Ukraine's ability to protect its democracy. When pacifists say war in Ukraine is a NATO proxy for war against Russia, what they actually mean is I don't recognize Ukraine's right to protect its democracy. When pacifists say Ukraine is corrupted, so we shouldn't help it, what they actually mean is I want to justify my indifferences to mass murder of Ukrainians. When pacifists say why nobody is talking about X, only talking about Ukraine, what they actually mean is international organizations don't work, and Ukraine shows this. When pacifists say sanctions against Russia are bad for the economy and should be lifted, what they actually mean is I'm fine with genocide of Ukrainians if it's good for the economy. When pacifists say, let's negotiate with Russia to prevent nuclear war, what they actually mean is countries with nukes can change borders in any way they want. pacifists are actually warmongers who want to apologize for genocide. So keep in mind that there are forces on the right named Tucker Carlson who are Nazis, right? Tucker Carlson is a Nazi who is allied with Russia to overthrow the United States. How do I know this? Because Tucker Carlson keeps talking about how Antifa is the thing you should be afraid about. He's saying, Tucker Carlson every night says, you know, anti-fascists are the scariest thing. Anti-fascists are doing all these bad things. Tucker Carlson is saying that anti-fascists are trying to plan violence, and that Tucker Carlson says that anti-fascists are trying to overthrow the government. But when he says that, what he's doing is he's covering up for the fact that what has actually happened is that Oath Keepers are an actual organization who actually planned violence, who actually tried to overthrow the government, who are actually in prison right now for actual crimes of actual treason. They're actually traitors trying to overthrow the government. At the same time, right now, going on trial are the leaders of the Proud Boys for the same thing. For the same thing. Seditious conspiracy is another way of saying treason. So the Proud Boys are on trial right now for treason. And Tucker Carlson, who is a Proud Boy, is on TV saying the enemies of the Proud Boys are the bad people, and that the enemies of the Proud Boys did the things that the Proud Boys are on trial for. Why would Tucker Carlson be saying the opposite of what's happening? The Proud Boys are a violent organization who've organized from coast to coast to attack American cities and to overthrow the government of the United States in service to white supremacy. It's a fact. They're on trial for treason. But if you listen to Tucker Carlson, you'll hear that it was actually the enemy. If you listen to Tucker Carlson will tell you that it was the enemies of the Proud Boys who did those things. Not the Proud Boys, but the enemies of the Proud Boys who did those things. That's how come you know Tucker Carlson is a liar. Because Tucker Carlson has to be very, very, very knowledgeable of what's happening, of the truth, in order for him to flip it so perfectly. He literally has flipped things perfectly. Everything that the Proud Boys have done, he labels Antifa with it. Everything. Proud Boys are a violent organization who tried to overthrow the government. They're literally traitors. They're on trial for treason, for being traitors. And Tucker Carlson is saying, don't look at the Proud Boys. In fact, go look at the enemies of the Proud Boys. That tells you that the Proud Boys are not your friend. 4 Oath Keepers convicted of seditious conspiracy. 4 members of the Oath Keepers anti-government militia were convicted on Monday of seditious conspiracy, treason, relating to the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol by supporters of Donald Trump after the second major trial accusing far-right extremists of plotting to forcibly keep the former U.S. president in power. So it's literally a traitorous organization, the Proud Boys. And Tucker Carlson is protecting them. That makes Tucker Carlson a traitor. And everyone who listens to Tucker Carlson is getting poisoned by lies from a traitor who has no loyalty to the United States. So what is Cop City? Cop City, so Atlanta police are trying to tear down forest land to take 350 acres of land to build a mock city of Atlanta on top of a former slave plantation and prison farm. The police want this mock city to test out urban warfare. In other words, the white supremacist slave patrol wants to create a mock city like Fallujah so they can test out urban warfare, how to best attack people in the city. And there was a bunch of protesters who were protecting the forest from getting torn down to make a mock city for violence. And the police murdered the person there. He didn't have a gun. They can't find the gun. They can't find anything. They murdered the guy. The police force is a white supremacist organization. It doesn't help you or me. We need to abolish the police. Because look, all they do is murder us, and they get away with it. They have entire media operations devoted to apologizing for the police after they murder us. That's Fox News. So yeah, I'm fucking screaming at you guys. I'm screaming because I can't get over how fucking obvious it is. Like, how do I get through to you guys? How do I get through to you? I've been doing this show for 4 years. There is so much information in all my shows, all my videos. I've done it for 4 years. If you need help, understanding it, just ask me. I'll fucking tell you, guys. Just ask me what you need. This will keep happening. This will keep happening until the world is destroyed, which is what's happening because of climate change. Or until that's like the hard timeline. But the soft timeline is until we address our history of slavery and genocide. This will keep happening until we address our history of slavery and genocide. That's why in Florida, where Ron DeSantis is implementing fascist control, he is banning books and banning the teaching of history because he does not want people to know about the history of slavery and genocide. He wants all the evils of the history of slavery and genocide to perpetuate into the future. Ron DeSantis is a Nazi. So are the people who support Ron DeSantis. We could have had such a great world if it wasn't for the white supremacists. All right, I don't have anything like happy to give you to end it out today. I don't. Things are fucked up. It's only January. All I can do is keep on trucking along. Spreading that knowledge, resisting the gaslighting and lies spread by Tucker Carlson and his demonic ilk. Because remember, all the Republicans took Russian mob money. Just like how the orcs drank the blood of the demons. All the Republicans took Russian mob money. And you know how that turned out. Okay, America, until next time, Pogokiro out. Peace.